Senator Young, are you with us virtually?
I am. Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Chairman. Mr. McCune, I wish we could spend this hearing looking at long-term strategic resourcing issues for the State Department. I wish we had the luxury of rethinking the State Department, of evaluating new horizons of diplomatic efforts throughout the world. I especially wish we could discuss how we're shifting our focus to Asia to deal with the growing threats to national security from a rising China. Instead, we must first attend to this administration's suboptimal withdrawal from Afghanistan, its careless failure to treat allies with respect, to its self-inflicted wounds that have sapped our nation of vital resources at a critical time in our nation's history. So I want to start with a very simple yes or no question, sir. Has our withdrawal from Afghanistan freed up resources at the State Department to focus on other strategic priorities in Asia, such as the threat posed by the Chinese Communist Party? Yes or no, sir?
Well, we're spending fewer resources in Afghanistan. That's correct, although some of these resources may get rescinded in the appropriations process. But it's not a yes or no.
So it's freed up resources to focus on other strategic priorities. We're not more focused on Afghanistan now than we were a couple of years ago?
In terms of our overall resources, that's correct. We still have a focus on the enduring commitment to Americans and green card holders and Afghans who've helped us to try to bring them out of the country. But yes, we have fewer department resources devoted to Afghanistan, but as I mentioned, we had a pretty big assistance pipeline, some of which probably will get rescinded in the appropriations process.
All right, Mr. McCune, well, let me follow up. I'm a little skeptical, only because I know the nature of the withdrawal has forced the department to pull officers and staff from Asia and throughout the world to stand up multiple crisis teams. And those teams are desperately trying to catch up to the crisis on the ground. We know diplomats have spent hundreds of hours reassuring allies and trying to repair our damaged reputation. It doesn't sound like a strategic refocusing. So can you provide specific numbers of personnel and funding that have been freed up as a result of the withdrawal, sir?
I'll have to get you those numbers. For the record, Senator Young, what I would say is we certainly have not lost focus on the importance of the generational challenge with regard to China and our Indo-Pacific strategy. I'm unaware that we've pulled officers from posts in Asia to work on the task force. We did have some consular officers at some of our bigger posts in the world, like in Manila and New Delhi, helping to call American citizens in August. But we've not pulled officers from missions in East Asia.
Well, I'll look forward to getting the specific numbers of personnel and funding that have been freed up as a result of the withdrawal.
I could also say, Senator, in both our 22 budget and our pending 23 request with OMB, as we look at increased personnel resources, the number one bureau, the bureau that's getting the most new positions, is the East Asia Pacific Bureau in both years.
All right, sir. How would you say that morale and confidence in state has been affected by our botched withdrawal from Afghanistan?
Well, Senator, with some humility, I'm not sure I can speak to the morale of 75,000 people who work for the department. I would say that many people who stepped up to volunteer, either to go to Afghanistan or...
I'm going to just briefly, respectfully interject. You're one of the leaders of the State Department. You're supposed to have your finger on the pulse of the morale of folks at the State Department. I think you can at least make a generalization about institutionally, organizationally, how folks on the line are doing right now, so that we in Congress might fulfill our oversight responsibilities.
Well, Senator, the people who volunteered to go to Kabul or who worked on the task force felt a strong sense of mission to help during the crisis, and I think felt that they did the best they could and managed to save a lot of lives. But I know people who came back from Kabul airport who are undergoing an emotional toll about the experience they went through. I think many people in the department served in Afghanistan over 20 years, so there's an array of emotions about what was invested and what was lost. I think
how can we possibly say in the end that the withdrawal has left us better equipped diplomatically to face other challenges? I'll just end with that question.
I think in a broad sense, Senator, Afghanistan over the last, at least the last decade, was we were investing substantial sums in human resources, both at the Defense Department and the State Department and USAID, which was, in some respects, an opportunity cost. I remember in the Obama administration in which I served, President Obama constantly asking the question, what am I getting for $20 to $40 billion a year, and what is the opportunity cost of that? So ultimately, the strategic shift away from Afghanistan, allowing us to focus on the priority you started with, which is the challenge of China, will be to our national benefit.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Senator Kaine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Secretary